Now, I am very pleased that we will have two students address the school. They will go one after the other. The first will be Clark Perkins, and the second will be Zainab Aina. Mr. Perkins.
Good morning, Mr. Palfrey, Mr. Curry, distinguished members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, parents, friends and family, and for the last time, good morning to the graduating class of 2014. It is an incredible honor to address you today, and I'm very grateful for your time. How can I describe what this school has meant to me and the ways that you all have enriched my life? To begin with, I must confess, I almost did not come to Andover. At the other schools I was considering, my revisit days fell on sunny mornings with cloudless skies. Birds soothed me during my walk around campus with melodies. Smiling students from Central Casting whizzed by on scooters, and music played from invisible speakers. It was quite the scene. We read short poems in the classroom. Perhaps we made a clay sculpture, but did nothing that was challenging or intimidating or anything but comfortable. My revisit day at Andover occurred on a dark, stormy morning that very nearly scared me away from Phillips Academy. Those who know me can attest to the fact that my academic strong suits are neither math nor science. Yet my day began with a double-period biology class where, to my utter dismay, I was instructed to personally dissect none other than a sheep's eyeball. I walked away from that class, pale and clammy, to a double-period math class, where I failed to understand a single thing. I was alarmed and intimidated, but intrigued. Intrigued by the incredible spectrum of people I met that Wednesday. The color of their personalities and the brilliance I witnessed were a sharp contrast to that dreary day. This draw, this pull to the Andover student body was one that I did not feel anywhere else I looked. And although I knew that success could be obtained more easily elsewhere, my young self had the ambition to avoid what would have been the mistake of a lifetime. For the best decision I have ever made was to enroll at Phillips Academy. When the days are sometimes 20 hours long and the nights a mere 4, the weeks here can drag on. Yet these last 4 years have truly flown by. It seems like just a few weeks ago that I was pulling up past the Memorial Bell Tower for the first time, playing Think Fast with my future classmates, and attempting not to stumble over my words as I introduced myself to dorm mates, classmates, prefects, and other upperclassmen for the first time. Andover was massive. And I, frankly, was intimidated. Everyone was intelligent, creative, artistic, athletic, intuitive, and friendly. Everyone comes to Andover as a big fish in a little pond. Suddenly, that pond became an ocean as I realized that I had the unique privilege of being surrounded by over 1,100 of the top students, athletes, musicians, artists, and creative minds in the entire world. My most distinct memory of my first day at Andover was a feeling, a very acute mix of wonder, excitement, and fear. The rolling greens, the brick buildings, the pristine facilities, all of Andover's amenities struck me with wonder. New friends, new beginnings, new opportunities, the new filled me with excitement. And the undeniable competition, the incredible array and overwhelming talent of the student body flooded me with fear. Fear that I would not be good enough. Not good enough to stand out, to succeed, to win the awards and accolades, to be the best. As my career at Andover progressed and my workload intensified, I struggled to balance my extracurriculars and my grades. I stood at a crossroads that many Andover students encounter at one point or another and had to decide how I would spend Andover's most valuable resource, time. Much to my parents' chagrin, instead of focusing solely on my studies, I continued to participate in my clubs, play sports and music, and take up leadership positions in different interests. In my mind, working with my peers and pursuing my true interests was just as important as the more focused academic side of my education. Was I overcommitted and sleep-deprived at times? Absolutely. Was it a good move for my GPA? Probably not. But with the exception of a few hours on April 1st, when I rifled through college rejection letters, I have never regretted my decision. For my Andover experience has given me something much more valuable than a piece of paper ever could. It has taught me how to fail. Maya Angelou once said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it." I think she was right. I will be forever grateful for failing that first test, getting cut from varsity, not getting called back for an audition, not making the honor roll, barely passing a class, and losing an election. These moments knocked me down and forced me to feel real embarrassment and disappointment for the first time. These defeats challenged me, but caused me to reflect, to learn, and to come back more motivated to reach my goals. Every single one of us has failed at something over the last 4, 3, 2, and even 1 year. The mantra that hard work equates to success was instilled in me from a young age. However, it was not until I came to Andover that I discovered what hard work really was. And it was at Andover that I discovered that sometimes hard work does not result in success. That sometimes life does not go according to plan. And that you are judged not on how hard you fall, but how quickly and eagerly you get up. At Andover, we are challenged to be better, not only by our teachers, but by our peers. Competition is the foundation of our education, and while competition breeds success, it also teaches you how to process and rebound from failure. And if I could only take one lesson away from my Andover experience, it would be that. Thankfully, when we fall down here, we fall back into a community, a support net of sorts, that always helps us back to our feet. The lessons I have learned here are manyfold, but none are greater than the ones I have learned from my colleagues, and in particular from my dear friend and co-president, Junius Williams. Many of my high moments, and now that I think about it, nearly all of my low moments, have occurred with Junius right beside me. And if I had had it my way, he would be right beside me now giving this speech. Every time I am down and out, or simply look exhausted, Junius looks me in the eyes and tells me, "Keep smiling." The phrase was originally intended to remind me to look presentable and warm to prospective voters when we were running for the co-presidential office last winter. It is now used in kind jests to let me know that I look horrible, or exhausted, or disheveled, or a mixture of the three. And you know what? Every single time he repeats that old, worn-out joke, I smile. Not because I think he is funny, but rather because the saying reminds me of our friendship. It reminds me of how fortunate I am to have a friend like Junius and to attend a school like Andover. It reminds me of everything I am grateful for. It reminds me of what I am most grateful for: the people. From Andover to Connecticut to Arkansas to Texas to California to North Dakota to Mexico to Canada to Spain to South Korea to China to Syria to Europe and to countries all over the globe. 335 students gathered here today chose Andover not because it was the simplest path to take, but rather because it was the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity we could find. The trials and tribulations that one encounters here are difficult, but our experience here makes us stronger. We chose to take the road less traveled, and to quote Robert Frost, that has made all the difference. The Andover diploma that we will all soon grasp is much more than a rather expensive piece of parchment. It is a key, a gateway to opportunity. I know that I will cherish the lessons in leadership, accountability, and responsibility that I have learned here. I also realize that I would never be here in the position to speak to you all and learn these lessons without my loving mother, my selfless father, my brother and sister, and the rest of my extended family. In fact, none of us would be here without all of you, the friends and family that make our education possible. I will forever be thankful for the faculty and staff who have helped me discover more about myself and the world than I ever thought possible back in the fall of 2010. I will miss the camaraderie of the athletic teams I have been fortunate enough to be a part of. I will miss the freedoms I've had to try things outside of my comfort zone. I will miss the small joys of Andover life that I hold so dear. Staying up into the early hours of the morning with my dorm mates contemplating the future, going to guitar lessons on Friday afternoons, listening to the ringing of the Memorial Bell Tower, driving to away games on the team bus, returning to Andover rejuvenated after a long summer, leaving Phillips Academy after a long and successful year. Salvador Dali famously stated, "Have no fear of perfection. You'll never reach it." Dali may have been right. Everybody has flaws. But Andover has helped me to recognize my own flaws and has encouraged me to always strive for the impossible, to always reach for perfection. This drive has made me a better student, a better friend, a better leader. And although I've looked forward to this day when we, the graduating class of 2014, join hands one last time on the Great Lawn, it is only now hitting me how hard this goodbye will be and how dearly I will miss everyone who has helped me become the person I am today. I will think of Andover and every one of its constituents frequently and fondly as I embark on the next chapter of my life. To the class of 2014, I wish you genuine happiness, prosperity, and success on your individual journeys. Remember that no matter where the wind blows, no matter what path your life takes, we will always have a home on Andover Hill. All for one and one for all. Thank you all for everything.
Good morning, everyone. I'll keep my speech short because it's hot. Like many of you, when I first came to Andover, I experienced a bit of culture shock. I'm from Nigeria and New York City, and when I arrived at Andover, I was intrigued by the fact that we had so much space, the fact that I could see the stars at night, and the fact that there were so many trees. But what struck me most was a culture of general politeness. People were always greeting each other on the paths, or sharing short smiles before continuing to their destinations. And this kindness seeped into the classroom, where students would linger near the door to thank their teachers after every lesson. At first, this custom took me by surprise. I didn't really understand why my peers always thanked the teachers until I actually spent a week here and had the privilege of being taught by them. They were not only passionate about teaching, but also about getting to know me and my peers. Soon enough, I happily conformed and thanked my teachers after every class as well. But to this day, I still don't understand why so many of us thanked our teachers when we turned in our exams. Normally, I would set them down with a sigh of relief or a smile of triumph, but my peers were thanking them. Oh, if anyone needed to be thanked, it was me for taking it. But were my peers thanking my teachers for giving the exams or for collecting them? Did we even think when we expressed this act of gratitude? Oftentimes, when we come to a new environment, it's very easy to adopt customs and traditions that we don't really understand in order to assimilate. As a very quiet and socially awkward new-upper, I paid attention to the actions and mannerisms of the people around me. I tried to gain a better understanding of why hugging was another form of saying hello, and how some people were so comfortable introducing themselves to new faces. And after a while, I realized that I just needed to challenge myself to be an active participant of this community. After all, that was one of the reasons I came to this school. I slowly pushed myself by taking tiny steps. Instead of waiting for familiar faces to acknowledge me, I started initiating some friendly exchanges. I spoke up in my classes, and even though I usually waited until the last 10 minutes, it was a step forward. I went to club meetings that forced me to introduce myself to new people and attended some of the events on the weekender. Gradually, I learned to initiate my own introductions, and I stopped waiting for everyone else in my class to speak before I shared my own thoughts. After a long while, these practices became habits, and I no longer felt as though I was performing. But like any of you, I did not undergo great change alone. The only reason I was able to grow at Andover is the people who have helped me pave my path to where I am today. It's because of the friendly faces who received and reciprocated my greetings and the minds that were interested in actually listening to what I had to say. In the classroom, I've had the chance to grow as a student, to challenge and question the things that I'm taught, and to know that my opinion would be valued. I've learned so much, from how to create a laser pen using a highlighter in Mr. Puffy's hacking class, to working in groups, an activity that I used to consider an ordeal. But most of my growth has taken place outside of my classes. I've gone on the prats across campus, no longer simply exchanging the mundane, "Hi, how are you?" but rather engaging in hilarious and sometimes eclectic conversations. I've grown in the Bulfinch conference room and the tables in upper left discussing feminist theory, exchanging jokes, and sharing stories with three incredibly intelligent people, Mustaf, Soha, and Alex. They showed me the beauty of connecting with people who share my passions and goals. I've grown in the walls of CAMD, where I've received support, friendship, and guidance from people like LCG and Mama Lewis. I've grown in my dorm at Smith House, where I've had intellectual discourse about societal expectations, and also shallow, often irritating conversations about prom with my roommate, Maria. These are some of the many people I'm thinking about today. Like me, though, I'm sure you each have friends, teachers, and mentors who not only offered support, but also serve as a second, third, and even fourth family. In this life, it is too rare that we find a place to grow. I found that at Andover. A few months ago, I could not have stood here and spoken to you all. I could not have stood here and spoken to you all because fear and doubt would have convinced me that someone else could do a better job. But this morning, I cannot believe that all of you have the privilege of being graced with my presence. It is crazy to think about how far I've come and the people who have stimulated my self-growth without even realizing it. So I want to thank so many of you for helping me, teaching me, and most of all, for being my friends. For the first time in my life, I actually feel accepted and like I belong somewhere. So many of you have shown me true friendship and love and have given me confidence that I never believed I could possess. Maya Angelou once wrote, my mission in life is not to merely survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. I hope that as we all accept our diplomas today, and as we take our final steps as seniors on this campus, each and every one of us takes the time to thank the people who have survived this journey with us, and the people who have helped us grow. You're all so remarkable, and as we take the next steps forward, I hope we do it with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and of course, with lots and lots of style. Congratulations, class of 2014.